Okay, reading notes for today. I'm doing a 15 pages per day approach. The Race of the Century, The Battle to Break the 4-Minute Mile by Neal Bascomb. This is March 2022, first edition, Scholastic Focus hardcover. I'm Tanis Leonhardi. This is my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi, and today is Monday, 15 January 2023, and I'm going to attempt a feat I've been thinking about doing, but haven't really figured out how to do, which is like, think of how do I integrate a sweet and or savory eats into a video of a different topic, and I've started trying to do that, but so I'm going to try and do 3 hamburger buns and a Clif bar as I do this. And so that's the introduction, so let's jump into notes. And I gotta be savory. So I have 3 hamburger buns. Each one is 140 calories, so it comes out to 420 calories total. They're very good. I like them plain. And so this section starts at 15 pages, starting on page 46 and ending on page 60. And it starts off by concluding kind of with the Roger Bannister at the 1952 Olympic Games in Helsinki. And a little bit of wrap up with John Landy as well. But he keeps talking about a Czechoslovakian runner, Zatopek. Kind of like the author providing this runner's perspective and take on things. And it kind of starts to talk about equipment and running a bit. If it was different back then in the 1950s. They didn't have the nice cushy surface they have nowadays. That's kind of like a foam. They had back then was crushed up, glassy volcanic rock, you know? So falling on it hurt and could actually cause some serious damage. And to keep the runners from slipping and sliding, you know, cracking their skull. I've done that. I've fallen backwards and hit tile, right? I mean, they're running on rock with, you know, crushed up rock on top of that. So, serious high-risk sport. Plus, they run with metal spikes. All right, so those collisions with other runners, those spikes get into your leg. You get some pretty nasty scars out of it. So, dangerous sport. Road running still is. Track and field has become a bit cushy nowadays. But that's actually what the next section, so 48 to 60, actually talks about that. The equipment used in running, different running styles by different kind of region. And then it kind of focuses mostly on the John Landy, the Australian guy, and how he learns to run, because Australia isn't as prolific in the running arena as some other countries. Which I think nowadays something analogous might be like Brazil in running. It's good in other stuff, but doesn't have like an established presence in track and field like the United States of America or Great Britain or Jamaica. Or these are excellent. And so I'm a runner, and I started training with myself as coach in January 2006. And have not stopped running. Even if I take hiatuses and like running on the road as my training. Onto my last bun. And so it gets into equipment and then different training styles and techniques based on regions. And there was one, and individuals. It kind of has the author is very much an American. They like to frame it as everybody else copies everybody else, and America is the naturals, the originals. Everybody else is dirty, you know. That's how the author comes across. I'm kind of writing this. There's two kind of big notes I have from this section. First is, per the training groups and peoples introduced, I would be most similar to the Swedes, which I am at least 1/4 Old Norse and before, like native Norwegians and before the original peoples kind of thing. Well, that kind of thing. So to read this and find out, hey, I run like the Scandinavians used to run, or some of the Scandinavians. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. So I'm like, that I can make do just with what I have, right? Just with the road outside my house, and it ends up being similar to what the Swedes were doing in the 1940s and 1950s, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And they did a bunch of running in forests, and running fast and running slow, and learning like internal motivation as opposed to framing oneself relative to the other people. I'm like, that's what I do. I'm out there, I listen to my body, I run fast and slow and walk based on myself, how I'm doing. They were kind of anomalies back then. I'm like, I have never felt more Scandinavian. No, I'm joking, but like, also kind of not. $42 out of 10 for the Franz hamburger buns. Okay, so that's my first note and my first savory eats. Last time I classified this as a sweet and savory eats, crunchy peanut butter. I'm just going to do savory this time. I have done a sweet and with savory eats of this product before. Not this exact one. It got kind of squished. It was on the bottom in the pantry, and it expires in March 2024. So I was like, why not? So there's a Clif bar, crunchy peanut butter. So then the other thing is a bunch of the runners, and he's talking about the speeding up of times and approaching the 4-minute mile time, like 4 minutes in the mile, as like a global endeavor, and how much people are like kind of looking at each other for like external validation of how fast or slow they should be running. And I'm like, it's kind of intriguing that they were doing that back then. Because it was before a lot of the like large scale accusations on cheating. And so I kind of wonder, like, aside from the Swedes who are internally motivated, was that really just a thing? Like, maybe that's the reason the Swedes were so good. They could come up with times for themselves, as opposed to always judging themselves relative to other people. I'm like, nowadays people do that, but they do that because they're like, if I go too fast, they'll say I cheated. You know? That kind of thing. So that's why I kind of bring it up as this. Did they do it back then just because a bunch of people were speeding up, so they were trying to figure out, you know, how much time do I drop, how fast, that kind of stuff? How fast are they gonna go? So it's just like a speeding up field or changing field, as opposed to choosing those times out of fear. Yeah. So those are my notes for this section. Almost done with my Clif bar. That's something that hasn't been brought up. Food. One necessity for sports, where one exerts energy. Food as a fuel source. Something that was thought of even before organized sport. So stop and think about that. It is notably missing thus far. That predates civilization. What goes into one's body and being mindful of that as humans. It's non-unique to modern athletes. Anyway, in conclusion, those are my notes for today. And a savory eats of 3 Franz hamburger buns and a crunchy peanut butter Clif bar. Happy day and time of viewing whenever you're viewing this, and happy place of viewing this wherever you're viewing this from.